We are really excited to present students' 30-hour community service and internship projects this year, as well as their 10 to 15-page research papers on these topics. Topics range from dry point, trigger point needling, and acupuncture to radar detection. So we have all sorts of presentations and themes for you. Welcome also to the younger Berkeley students. I will see you in the years to come. All right, so first up we have Sydney Hatton.
Hello, my name is Sydney Hatton, and my project is about increasing the number of women in leadership positions. I'll be talking about my project in chronological order, from doing my internship in the summer, to writing my thesis, to finishing with the legacy portion of my project. During summer, I didn't really know exactly what I wanted to do as my project topic, but I knew I wanted to get my internship done over the summer at a place where I felt like it's really working for me. After about a month of turmoil, trying to find some place that would take in a high schooler with no experience, I found Growing Technologies in downtown Charlottesville. Ryan Casey is the CEO of Growing Technologies, and he leads a group of 4 other men in a small building, and they make websites and programs for their clients. I shadowed Mr. Casey as my mentor for about a week, and shadowed their product manager, Harrison, for about a week, making my internship a total of 30 hours. It was definitely a learning stretch for me because I had never had any sort of job before. One of the things I did while I was at Growing Technologies was listening on their meetings that they had with their clients, where they were nothing such as. It looks confusing, and that's because it is. And this is actually an over-top view of a 3-dimensional interactive simulation for waste management companies to teach their new employees about their machines. And afterwards, Mr. Casey came up to me and said, were you bored during the meeting? Because while I'm not interested in waste management exactly, I was interested in hearing how he dealt with having his clients being far away and then also leading his team that was here in Charlottesville. It was clear you couldn't make everyone happy. I learned a lot while I was at Growing Technologies, from just how to manage a business, what programs to use, how they go about their day, to things like small businesses in Charlottesville in general, but I was still stuck on a project topic. So I thought about what characteristics does the CEO need, like leadership, and what is one of the things I'm passionate about, equality. And it's interesting that I came up with the idea of women in leadership positions because, as I mentioned before, Mr. Casey leads a group of 4 men. But actually, I found out that the founder and owner of the company is Ms. Jenny Haynes, who currently lives in Florida. I never got to meet her, but after talking to Mr. Casey, he said that she was actually the former CEO as well. And this really provoked my curiosity of women in CEO and executive officer positions, because I kind of have that sort of leader personality, and I know that whatever job that I have in the future, I really want to be a leader in no matter the field. And so I thought this was the perfect topic for me. 14.6%. According to the American Center for Progress, in 2014, only 14.6% of executive officer positions were female. Logically thinking, women make up about 50% of the population, so why is this statistic not an accurate representation of that? And that's what I set out to find in my research. The first thing I looked up was why so many women pull back their careers because of family. When I was talking to Dr. Andrea Whitmire, our superintendent of Green High School, she said that she felt a lot of women pull their careers back because of the family issue. And a lot of women start out having jobs where they can climb up the corporate ladder. But according to Pew Research Center, 42% of women pulled back their career or reduced their work hours because of children, while only 28% of men do. I found through my research that this could be because of paid and unpaid leave for work. In 1993, the Family and Medical Leave Act said that corporations were required to give leave to new mothers and fathers, but it was unpaid. This meant that oftentimes in families, men were the ones that were staying at work while women were staying at home because statistically they were paid more. So to find a solution for this, you can look at this gap. So you can see this is weeks of paid leave for new mothers in various countries. On the left here is the United States, and it only has 0 to 5. Over on the right here is Bulgaria, which has 55 to 60, but the majority of countries have about 15 to 20. So to compromise, my solution would be to change the Family Medical Leave Act. So it would be 12 weeks of 2/3 pay leave for new mothers and fathers. This means that mothers and fathers could alternate the weeks. Women could stay home and get the 2/3 pay, or they could stay at work and get full pay. This would mean that women wouldn't feel obligated to quit their job. The next thing I looked at was discriminatory practices in the workplace. So there's actually two forms of sexism. There's malevolent sexism, which is being malicious to the opposite gender because one thinks they're above them. And then there's also benevolent sexism. And when it applies to women, this is when men treat women as if they're naive creatures, can't really form their own opinions, and can't do the same tasks as men can. And so how it applies to women in the workplace is oftentimes this can be from superiors, and it goes unnoticed because they're not given the opportunities or given the promotions that men would get in the same situation. But how does one fix, and this is usually called the glass ceiling in mainstream media. But how does one fix a problem that isn't really tangible? You can't build a robot, you can't teach a class that all Americans are required to take before they get into the workplace, but there is one supreme law of the land. Former Supreme Court Justice Antonin Scalia said that the Constitution does not protect against sex discrimination in the workplace. And in 1943, supporters of the women's rights movement and now the National Organization of Women made the campaign to pass the Equal Rights Amendment. Here's section 1. It says equality of rights under the law should not be denied or abridged by the United States or by any state on the account of sex. So if you look at a constitution, you can tell that this still has not been passed. And the reason it needs to be passed is because if our country, as a free country, does not, our constitution does not protect against sex discrimination, what does it say that other countries, some more developing countries, would protect against that as well? And it's not just the United States, but it's a worldwide thing as well. So in 1982, since 1982, the Equal Rights Amendment has been reintroduced into Congress every single year, but it's never been passed. So Equal Rights Amendment supporters have come up with a 3-stage strategy. So on this map, you can see the states that have ratified the Equal Rights Amendment, which is 35 of them, and ones that have not. To get an amendment passed, you need 38 states to ratify the Equal Rights Amendment. And also, by a Supreme Court decision, the ratification period must be reasonable and sufficiently contemporaneous. This means that the time between actual passage and the time that the original states have ratified it needs to be reasonable, which isn't exactly a concrete term. So 3-state strategy is based on the fact that the Madison Amendment, or the 27th Amendment, had a 203-year ratification period. This means that the Equal Rights Amendment's ratification period of 34 years should be reasonable and sufficiently contemporaneous, meaning that the 35 states that initially ratified it in 1982 should still count. And we'd only need 3 more states to ratify it as of 2016. And it would be a huge step in the equal rights movement. While my research was largely based about women's equality legislation, I knew I wanted my community service to be more about encouraging kids of all kids, boys and girls, to want to be leaders in their community. So I reached out. So in Greene County, we have a wonderful 4-H department. And I reached out to Kathy Allstat, the Greene 4-H Extension agent, to be my mentor. Together, we planned an officer training for kids who are presidents, vice presidents, secretaries of their various 4-H clubs or classroom clubs. And what we did was I did a presentation about parliamentary procedures, which is what we use at every single 4-H club. And we did Jeopardy games, we did activities like this, where they're setting up a club agenda, just a general club agenda. And we even made the club agenda for the club that was happening afterwards, Team Club. And it was a really great experience to see them excited to be leaders in their clubs. In addition to doing my community service through 4-H, I also did the legacy portion of my project. And this was the planning the annual Team Club lock-in. So what the lock-in is, it's an all-night from about 7 p.m. to 7 a.m. in the morning training night for teens who want to be team leaders at 4-H camp. And 4-H camp is a week-long overnight camp for kids ages 9 to 13. And team leaders have a huge amount of responsibilities. They have to manage cabins, manage lunch tables, do their manage teams and teach classes, among other things. And what the team often does is train them to go to camp. So we did a various amount of activities, such as fun games like this, where Charity in the middle here is about to be dressed up as a newspaper knight. She's going to fight another newspaper knight with a foam sword. And this was to test out if it should be used at camp with the kids. And also like this, where my team is about to spell out a characteristic that a leader would have, one letter at a time, holding hands with our feet. And like this, it's a tradition at 4-H camp. It's called the Human Bridge, and it teaches us teens to work as a team. And Leah here in the middle is about to walk down the pipes that's only held up by the team. In addition to fun games, we also do training simulations. So one of the simulations was a team meeting simulation. And team meetings are historically the most stressful part of camp because it's 4 team leaders leading a group of 30 kids who really only want to go swimming. So what we did was we had new teens who had never gone to camp before pretend to be the team leaders, while some of us older teens, like myself, pretended to be campers with different personalities, such as homesickness or rambunctious. And it was a good experience for them because they got to experience a team meeting without actually having to be thrown into a group of 30 kids. So I chose this as my legacy because I know the impact that a good team leader can make. It can make the camp fun and safe for the kids, which is really good lasting impact for them, and more kids will come back to camp. And I did my community service and my legacy for 12 hours. In addition to these events, I also made a leadership pamphlet that had various activities that 4-H clubs could use to teach their members about leadership. Overall, I had a really great experience doing my project. I wish I could get legislators to read my paper and see the importance of changing the Family Medical Leave Act and doing the Equal Rights Amendment, passing the Equal Rights Amendment. Also, if I had significance with the people I worked with, I know recently Mr. Casey at Growing Technologies hired a new female intern from UVA, and I hope that I took a little bit of the weight off of Ms. Fawcett's shoulders about planning camp. If I could have any advice to new seniors doing this project, it would be really take the time to do everything. Don't do the minimum amount of work because you will not have a good project if you don't do that. You have to really spend time doing the paper and doing the internship and doing the community service because it will be really worthwhile for you and just for everyone experiencing your project. After much deliberation, I will be studying global affairs at George Mason University next year. And I'd like to thank both of my mentors, Mr. Casey and Ms. Allstack, as well as Ms. Newman for pushing me to have a really great project, and Mr. Caraway, Ms. Outen, and Mr. Reynolds for making Burbank a really worthwhile experience. Thank you. Are there any questions?
So judges, we have about 5 to 10 minutes for questions for Sydney. So if you have any questions about her internship experience, her community service, her legacy, or her research paper, and you want to ask her, please do so.
I've got a question for you. On the changes you want to make to the Family Medical Leave Act, would you want that to be government sponsored in those weeks' pay, or would that be, do you think it should be employer responsibility? How do you think that would be structured in our economy?
So I based my plan on one of the current presidential candidates' plans, and I want it to be changed regardless of politics, so I'm not going to say who it was, but and what this person had was increasing the tax bracket for the higher income people. So I'm assuming the plan would be more government sponsored, but I think that it should be partially on the employer as well.
Sydney, one of the things we talked about doing with the senior project in particular is kind of putting more emphasis on leadership. Any advice for us at Blue Ridge in terms of things that you think we could bring into the curriculum that might help prepare students for leadership roles?
So just the Burbank program in general, or that?
Yeah, the whole program and senior internship in particular.
I think it's really important for anyone to experience actually leading a group of people, whether it's kids or people at their age. So I think any sort of requirement where they would need to host an event or something like that would be really beneficial to them before they get into the workplace.
Was there a recent change in the Family Leave Act? I think maybe it extends the time period that honorable mothers take. You know,
As far as I know, that the Family Medical Leave Act right now is still 12 weeks, but it's still unpaid. So I'm not sure if there's been.
okay, probably isn't paid, just a little difference in time allotted.
Kind of along the same lines, I was a little bit unclear about how you arrived at the 12 weeks with 2/3 pay. Is that, can you give me some more detail about how you come in on that specific?
So currently, the Family Medical Leave Act is at 12 weeks, but it's unpaid. And I based my plan on a presidential candidate who did do 2/3 pay. So it's not the full pay. So wouldn't be as big of a dent on the economy as far as corporations paying it, but it would still be some pay. So it wouldn't make women feel obligated to stay home or not.
Was there any type of figure on the economic impact that you saw through your research or?
Can't exactly recall right now, but I feel I probably could look it up and see.
No, that's just curious. Thank you.
What are your aspirations after you're going to major in global affairs? Then what's next? What's your aspiration?
I really like, I'd really like to work at an embassy. I haven't exactly pinpointed where, but I just want to travel a lot and go someplace and experience new cultures.
Okay, thank you.